Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, I don't want to make the assumption that this is a Canadian thing, but I have to talk from the Canadian perspective. But there's this ongoing scam where we get calls from India pretending to be individuals from various places. I mean, the biggest one that's been happening for the past year or two has been the CRA, Canadian Revenue Agency. Is that what it is? Hey, lady. Hey, lady. CRA, what is that? Canadian Revenue Agency? Is that what it is? I know it's the Canadian government and they want my tax money, but acronyms are not my thing. So they call and they basically, say that the government, you're going to be arrested and all. It's really bad messaging. Really, I mean, the language they use is all like anybody that studies English and English grammar, you can see that there's a problem in this. I mean, the Canadian government would be way more professional. But today was a little bit different. I don't know if this is an old one or if it's new and they've just changed it. But I've had I answer about a dozen calls because I like to just see what happens, and I'm always asking them questions. It doesn't take them very long to hang up. Usually if you ask them a question, they just hang up. So they have a whole kind of system behind what they're doing. But today's was kind of funny because, my wife got a call on her phone, and I just happened to have the phone, and I was showing her something on Twitter or YouTube or something. I forget what it was. And they said, if you don't, the gist of the message, I don't know exactly what it was, but the gist was, if you have, your visa has been used for fraudulent activity and it's going to be canceled within 2 hours. And if you do not take this call, it'll be canceled and you will have to reapply. So please press 1 now. So I pressed it. I mean, I know enough. But I like to challenge. So they get on the call, Indian woman. Their English is getting better. I've noticed too that over the dozen calls or so that I've accepted, they seem to be getting people who speak better English. So the accent isn't quite as bad. So they're being more, professional in their scam, if you will. And so she says, you're at 4 p.m. today. There's 2 fraudulent active purchases. One for like $800 from eBay, and another one for Western Union for $1,100. And I said, okay, I'll have to verify that. I'll have to check my records and see. And then I said, so why are you calling? And then she hung up. Now, there's a little problem here. 2 problems I noticed. One was she says, today at 4 p.m. Well, I'm in Canada. It's only 11:30 a.m. So they're broadcasting the future to me. So now I know to watch around 4 o'clock that somebody's going to scam me. Prophecy. SubhanAllah. Second one was they call my wife. My wife doesn't have a visa, right? So just little things like that, okay? But not so little. So the thing that boggles my mind the most about this is the reason these individuals are doing it. And like I said, they could be doing it. I'm assuming they're going to be doing it all over the world, okay? They've got the resources there, the manpower and woman power, if you will. And the thing that gets me is that in my country, that in this day and age where we have access to so much information, and this is one of the principles of Islam that I love so much, is about seeking knowledge. And it's not just about the religion. Yes, our focus is the deen, but in terms of just being a Canadian, you want to educate yourself. You need to understand your rights and your responsibilities within the society. And it's crazy to think that I think in 2019, tens of millions of dollars Canadians paid out to this scam because they believed it. And I'm not sure, I'm assuming that, with each individual, there's many reasons for it. I mean, maybe they got lucky and got, new immigrants that just don't understand the laws. I mean, that's an exception, right? But in general, we should know by now that the government would never call you like this. A financial agency, your bank, your credit card, your insurance, they will never call you like this and say these kind of things to you, right? It's almost always a letter. I mean, letters, for example, even if they try to scam mail, it will have an international stamp on it. You know what I mean? Like it to show that it came from overseas, right? Like there's so many little things in place in the system that we just take for granted, that we don't think about, that are there to protect us. I mean, you can ignore the calls, and it gets annoying, and they're going to keep calling you. And I just found this one interesting because it's the new approach, the new methodology. I mean, if this is an older Visa scam, I'd never heard of it before. Yo, Visa, stop calling me. Yeah, no, here's, so, I mean, just seek knowledge, understand, okay? You have the right, even if you believe it is a valid call, you have the right to say, look, I'm not going to give any information. Don't, and that's rule number one. I'm into IT too, so maybe I kind of take this habit that I've developed for granted. It just comes naturally, where if somebody asks me for something personal on a phone call that I've never talked to before, but I don't care if you sound professional and you're a government, no, I'm not going. If you want to contact me, send me a letter. Well, we need to verify your address, your visa. You probably know me better than me, right? You have been tracking my activity for decades, right? You know where I shop, when I shop. You have all of this information. So you don't need to ask me for my address. If this is a legitimate call, they would just send me a letter saying, look, there's been some issues. I get them. I get texts, I get emails saying, look, there's been, questions of fraudulent activity, and there's almost never a link. This is how you know little things. If they send you an email, there won't be a link. And if there is a link, be careful of it. But most of the time, it's just say, look, go to your account and verify these transactions. And if there's no link on the page, it's probably Visa, right? But there's ways you can check. You can check who sent it to you. You can check the link itself. And unfortunately, people aren't technical, so this is where a lot of people get caught. And I understand that. But for people that want to take precautions, the simple way is just ignore it. Don't be afraid. The way the government works and the way these things are, the government will, if it is a valid concern and a legitimate thing, they'll come to you in a certain way. So like with a credit card, you just, every credit card company now, I don't use my credit card for one, so that helps too. I use it for necessities, right? With COVID, it became very handy, right? I had to order things online. If I want to travel, I don't travel a lot, but I do try to travel a couple of times a year. You need the credit card for hotels and planes. It's just part of the world. And even though we don't get involved in interest, so my approach is to use the credit card. If I have to use it, and I do use it, then I make sure I pay it right away. I don't spend money I don't have, right? If I want a new TV or new computer, then I save up for it. Right? That's just my approach. So I go to great lengths. Once I became a Muslim, I go to very great lengths to not get into debt, not to get into the credit system in this sense, which pays off, right? But anyway, so yeah, be careful, and just, if you're not sure, just hang up, call the police, say, look, I got this call from this, right? And they'll help you out. And not 911, okay? Don't call 911. What I mean, call the police. Look up the local police number. There's numbers for the police detachment or police station or whatever society you're in, whatever words you use. Call them that way, right? They can do intake like that and say, look, they have a, you call them and ask. Don't tie up 911 is for emergencies. This is not an emergency. And if you're not comfortable answering the call, don't answer the call. Just a safety net for a lot of people who get a lot of these calls. They go in waves. I haven't had any for a week or two, but the previous week I was getting 3 a day. So they're going to keep coming. And we, because of our failings and our mistakes, we keep opening the door, and they're going to continue to do this and continue to harass us with these stupid calls as long as we as a society keep falling for the trap. So we need to wisen up. We need to get our education, as I was saying. We need to learn the laws of Canada and protect ourselves, and knowledge is power, all of those kind of fancy expressions that we have. So Allah keep you safe, and enjoy the calls. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.